Welcome to the channel, and in this video we're going to be going over the Magicka Templar. This is a very easy setup to get that deals out a lot of damage with a lot of resource management, and in the end it's just a really fun build. So let's go ahead and jump into it. My max Magicka is 34.9k, my max health is 17, my magic recovery is 1.2. My spell damage is 2.2 and buffed. My spell crit is 54.8%. Now, I have 50 points into Magicka, 14 points into health. Keep in mind, I am a Briton, so you might have to adjust that based on your race. So, 16.4, 16.5k HP maximum health is really good. I have around 17 just because. So, food I'm running is Witch Mother's Potence Brew. Don't worry about the Vampire Bite, it has nothing to do with it, with the build. And the boon that we're running is the Shadow, because we're at that 54% without needing the Thief or anything, so it just works for us. So, champion points. I have 20 into Warlord, 21 into Sprinter, 75 Arcanist, 75 Tenacity, 44 Shadow Ward, 34 Tumbling. 56 Elfborn, 64 Elemental Expert, 22 Spell Erosion, 16 Staff Expert, 56 Master at Arms, and 56 Thermometer. 34 Ironclad, 32 Spell Shield, 34 Light Armor Focus, 64 Hardy, 64 Elemental Defender, 11 Bastion, 27 Quick Recovery. Now, I do not use shields for the most part with this build. Now, but there are some times I do have to. Depending on the content that I'm doing, I do need the shield, so I keep 11 points here. If you never use that shield, if you never put that shield on and you don't use it, I understand. You can put some more points into quick recovery, or you can throw some more into Ironclad, or just increase your resistances a little more. If you want to do that with the 11 points, that's up to you. So, the first 5-piece set that we're going to run is an overland set from Deshawn called Mother's Sorrow. Basically what this does, we're running all of it on the body, all divines with max Magicka. And what this does, it gives us max Magicka, spell crit, and 1.8k spell crit. It just gives us our crit. That's it. It's an amazing set to have on most Magic characters. And honestly, no matter what character you're running it on, you can't go wrong with it. It's a really strong set, no matter if you're running it on Necromancer, a Templar like this one, DK, Nightblade, Warden, Sorcerer, whatever. It's going to work. This is a good set to have, whether you use it or not. It's always good just to purchase it, just to have a full set of body. Now, because this set is the way it is, I would always try to keep it, on the body, or the 3 pieces of jewelry and 2 pieces on the body. I would always keep this stagnant. I would not use it on my weapons. Anyways, monster set. We're running Nerinthes, whatever. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong, but either way, we're running a medium helmet divines with max Magicka, and divine shoulders heavy with max Magicka. This is a 5-1-1 setup. Now what this set does, it gives us spell damage, and when you deal direct damage, you have a 15% chance to summon a Lich Crystal that explodes after 2 seconds, dealing 12k magic damage to all enemies within 4 meters. This effect can occur every 3 seconds. This goes off quite a bit. I mean, like, you will see this thing popping up quite a bit. I know previously, it really felt like it wasn't proccing at all, but due to the fact that the Templar's jabs it's pretty much just direct damage, it procs it. It's procced non-stop, pretty much now. I don't know what it is. It just seems to be going off more than what it was, so I've been enjoying using it. If it's not a set, you get this from Crypto Hearts 2. It's a pretty solid, easy dungeon to get through, but if you don't want to use it, you have this set here, Kilnar's Nightmare. This comes from Unhallowed Grave. It gives you spell damage, and when you deal damage with a light attack, you put a bone stack on your enemy for 5 seconds. You can only apply 1 stack every 1 second. At 5 stacks, an undodgeable skeletal hand attacks your enemy after 1 second, knocking them into the air and stunning them for 3 seconds and dealing 18.6k magic damage. If they cannot be stunned, an enemy that has reached 5 stacks cannot gain bone stacks for 3 seconds. This is a pretty strong set as well. I really enjoy using it myself. Then you have Valkyrie. Of course, this is going to give you spell pen, and when you deal damage with a damage over time effect, you have an 8% chance to summon a meteor that deals 11.5k flame damage to the target and 4.8k flame damage to all other enemies within 5 meters. Effect can occur every 5 seconds. This goes off quite a bit on Templar as well. Then you have Alambris. Gives you max Magicka. When you deal flame damage or shock damage, you have a 33% chance to summon a meteor. Shower the damage to type that deals 2.8k damage to all enemies within 4 meters every 1 second for 5 seconds. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. We do have a lot of lightning abilities here because we're running double lightning staffs. So this works well. This comes from Crypto Hearts 1. This is a really easy set to get. Same thing with this one, Maw the Infernal. This comes from Banished Cells 2. And it adds max Magicka. When you deal damage to a light or heavy attack, you have a 33% chance to summon a fire-breathing Daedroth, 15 seconds. Daedroth attacks deal 4.9k flame damage and alternate between Fire Breath, Fiery Jaws, and Jagged Claws, which alternate once every 2 seconds. Daedroth can only be summoned once every 15. And then, of course, Zon's comes from Scale Caller. Gives you spell crit, and when you damage a nearby enemy with a light or heavy attack, you have a 33% chance to create a beam of fire that will connect to your enemy. The beam deals 2.5k flame damage every 1 second to your enemy for 6 seconds. Every second this damage increases by 100%. The beam is broken if the enemy moves 8 meters away from you. The effect can occur every 18 seconds. So, Scale Caller, kind of difficult to get through. There it's Crypto Hearts 2, it's easy to get through. Banished Cells 2, easy. Crypto Hearts 1, easy. City of Ash 2 can be complicated. On Hollow Grave is a whole lot easier than you think it would be, but it's probably on the level of City of Ash 2, where Scale Caller is probably the hardest one to get. So personally, I would go with one of these 3 starting out, and I still use this now. So it's definitely fun to have, and it's always fun to have something different on other characters. So, anyways. Back bar, we're running a Maelstrom Lightning Staff with a weapon damage enchant. This one's charged. You do want it infused, but when I found out that you're going to be able to get these in normal and you have to do perfected, I just decided to stop transmuting what I had, and I'll just farm my perfected until I get it and then transmute those. Your light and heavy attacks deal an additional 1.3k damage to enemies in your wall of elements. This is very important because of how we run our rotation. We don't do that many. We won't really be using heavy attacks that much, but we do use light attacks. You're going to chain a light attack in between each one of your abilities, so that little extra damage is a nice little perk. Now, this next 5-piece set, I run it in PvP and I run it in PvE, and I have fun with it in both situations. Now, PvP, I'll throw in Shackle Breaker, maybe some, maybe Engine Guardian, something like that. And, of course, change my bars a little bit and then throw some Potinaes on the back bar, sword, and board with my buffs. I'll take this off. But the Lightning Staff and the jewelry stay the same. And the set that we're running is Overwhelming Surge. It's sharpened with a decreased health enchant, which is basically just going to give us some Oblivion damage. If you don't want to PvP with this set, put a flame damage enchant on this. But I like the Oblivion damage because, the those high health builds, those tanky builds, that kind of helps shred through those. As a Templar, it just makes me melt them even easier. So, now what this comes from Tempest Island, and it is a very, very easy set to farm. I mean, very. It's one of them dungeons where everything has a name drop. The Lightning Staff is a name drop that you get from the final boss. And our jewelry, which we're running 3 all embody, all arcane, all spell damage enchant, all have a name drop as well. Speaker Bands comes from one of the bosses, and then the Overwhelming Necklace has a name necklace called Commodore's Necklace. Again, so you can literally get everything multiple times throughout the dungeon. So, now what this set does is it gives us max Magicka, spell damage, and spell damage. And when you deal damage with a class ability, you have a 33% chance to surround yourself with a turret that deals 1.4k shock damage to enemies within 8 meters of you every 1 second for 6 seconds. 15% of the damage you deal this way is restored to you as Magicka. Its effect can occur every 6 seconds. So it's going to go off quite a bit, and it is very easy to proc. Honestly, If you don't want to use this set, I would use Scathing Mage. You know, you can get a Lightning Staff or a Flame Staff and use that. This comes from Imperial City. So, Imperial City Prison, and it gives you max Magicka spell crit, and when you do direct damage, you have a 20% chance to increase your spell damage by 486 for 5 seconds. That can occur once every 5 seconds. Of course, that is from blue. I think purple or gold. Purple, I think it's like 512 or gold, or it may be gold, but I think around purple it's around 500 or so. If you don't have any of that and you want something very useful, still for magic user, you can go with Ward Maiden. This is a name staff that you can get from doing a quest. It comes infused with a Zord Magicka enchant, and it gives you spell crit, max Magicka, spell damage, and then it adds 386 spell damage to your magic abilities. All of our abilities deal magic damage. So this set right here can be very useful if you're just getting started out. And this set comes from Vardenfell. It's an overland set as well. As you can see, farming this set just for that necklace that the game did what the game did. One of my necklace ended up disappearing. I put it in the bank to switch characters to be able to enchant it, and it disappeared out of my inventory, out of my bank, everything, and it wasn't in my inventory on the previous character. So while farming for that necklace, it took me a few runs, but I ended up getting 2 more of these staffs. I kept one to show. I gave one away, and then I ended up getting another one, running it, getting it for a random normal, just for the day. So I ended up deconstructing that one. So, but these are some good alternatives, especially when you're first getting started out. Mother Sorrow, the chest and legs can run you between 10 and 20k if you don't feel like farming a public dungeon. They drop from there, same thing with the gloves, but the gloves for some reason run about 10k. I've seen it like 8k, and that is in divines, not off traits, but in divines. Now the waist and boots are where it gets really expensive. The boots and stuff like that, they can go for 30k and up, and the waist will go for 30k and up as well. But they come from bosses and delves, so they're very, very easy to farm and not much of a headache as the public dungeon. There's almost, no matter what time of the day I've been in there, there's almost always somebody in there running the boss. So unless you can group up with them and run it with them, it's going to be a headache trying to farm them. So you can always farm overwhelming for the body on normal. Get your weapon as well, because it is from the last drop. You can just upgrade it to purple if you wanted to. Get this divines on the body, and then just get you some Mother Sorrow jewelry from the dolmens. Those would be probably the easier way to go about it. And then just get you a few, buy the gloves and farm the delve boss until you get the waist of the legs. Anyway, you can mix and match. It's up to you, but I would definitely keep this one on the weapons because you want Mother Sorrow static at all times. So, well, guess we'll go over the skills real quick before I show off the sets. This is your main spammable, Puncturing Sweeps. You're going to launch a relentless assault, striking enemies in front of you 4 times with your spear. The spear deals 3.1k magic damage to the closest enemy and 1.2k magic damage to all other enemies. Each strike reduces the movement speed of the closest enemy by 40% for 1 second. You heal for 40% of the damage done with this ability. Blazing Spear. Send your spear into the heavens to bring down a shower of divine wrath, dealing 7.6k magic damage to enemies in the area, and an additional 764 magic damage every 1 second for 10 seconds. An ally near the spear can activate the Blessed Shard's synergy, restoring 3.9k magicka or stamina, whichever maximum is higher. And then Purifying Light. Summon an expanding beam of pure sunlight to doom an enemy, dealing 4k magic damage to them and copying all their damage taken from you for 6 seconds and releasing 20% of it as additional magic damage to them. Maximum copy damage is 20.9k. When the effect ends, a pool of sunlight remains attached to the enemy, healing you and nearby allies for 1.7k health every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. Radiant Impression. Burn an enemy with a ray of holy fire, dealing 9k magic damage over 1.8 seconds. Deals up to 480% more damage to enemies below 50% health. Also deals up to 20 more damage in proportion to your current magicka. I know this says 50% health, but I really would not recommend using this until the boss is under 25% for maximum efficiency. Plus with this, you want to keep this up at all times. That's extra free damage just for having it on them. Blazing Spear, you're going to throw this down, it lasts for 10 seconds. Plus it's good just for a little management resources if the healer in the group is not running it for whatever reason. This can help the tank out a lot. And then we have Inner Light, pretty standard. While slot, your max magic is increased by 5%, and you gain major procs, increasing your spell critical rating by 2.1k. Ultimate on our front bar is Thunderous Rage. We create a catalytic storm at the target that builds after 2 seconds and lay waste to all enemies in the area, dealing 7.9k shock damage every 1 second for 7 seconds. Ability lasts 2 seconds longer from using a lightning staff, so this will last for 9 seconds instead of 7. So, back bar. Blockade of Storms. Slam your staff down and create a storm barrier in front of you, dealing 1.1k shock damage to enemies in the target area every 1 second, and setting concussed enemies off balance for 7 seconds. Solar Barrage. Conjure solar energy to blast enemies around you, dealing 2k magic damage every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. While this ability is active, you gain Empower, increasing damage for light attacks by 40%. So this is going to last for 10 seconds. So you should be able to get off at least 9 to 10, 9 maybe 10 if you're really lucky. Auto attacks while that's going. So it just works out real nice. Degeneration. Bind an enemy with chaotic magic, dealing 11.7k magic damage over 10 seconds. Excess magic spills out from them, granting you major sorcery, increasing your spell damage by 20%. So because we have this on our bar plus Inner Light, we do not need spell pods. We can get away with using trash pods. But if you have spell power pods, you can put your shield here and get rid of degeneration all entirely. Or if you still don't want to use the shield, just replace it with Soul Trap. Or Consuming Trap, or whatever it is, whichever one you want to use. As long as you do that. We have Barb Trapped. For the life of me, this will not gain any XP. So I would highly recommend, I do not have it unlocked. I would highly recommend you get morphing this into Rearming Trap. It will make what this is going to do is going to deal some damage, but it's going to give you minor force for 12 seconds, increasing your crit damage by 10%. If once you get it morphed, I've put in a help ticket. I don't know why it's not getting the XP. I'm not sure. It's not. I've had this happen. Something like this hasn't happened for 2 years now. But you can, for a magic user, I highly recommend getting the Citric line anyways and getting channeled acceleration. It may take a little bit and may be kind of grindy, but it's worth it. It lasts for 36 seconds, where this will last for 16, and it takes stamina. I mean, that extra damage isn't much in the grand scheme of things. So, and honestly, most bosses and fights in dungeons, you're only going to have to cast channel acceleration maybe 2-3 times at the most. So, it works out. And then again, we have Inner Light on our back bar again. If you wanted to, just put your shield here. If you still want to run everything here, and you don't want to change any of that, then just put your shield here. It's not a big deal. It won't hurt nothing. Because it's okay. You can take Inner Light off your bar, because as long as you keep it on your front bar where your execute is, that's when it's going to matter the most. Then we have Crescent Sweep on our back bar. Swing your spear around with Holy Vengeance, dealing 8.4k magic damage to all nearby enemies, an additional 4.1k magic damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. Enemy in your path will be hit for 60% more damage. So, as always, when it comes to buffing up, of course you'll pop your essence spot, and then you'll be able to look. Recovery go up 1.4, just a little bit. And then we're going to Rearming Structure, Solar Barrage, and ESO, or Unstable Wall. Purify, Spear, Jab. You're going to get off about 2-3 jabs, and as you can see, things already come up. And then you will repeat with that, Same thing. It's pretty static. Nothing here is going to take that long. And then, of course, every second rotation, you're going to want to put that down first. My bad. I forgot about it. And then just keep it going. Pop your pods as you get them. And just keep it. Use your ultimates when you have them. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, that little blue smoke around me, that is Aurorians. Or not Aurorians, Overwhelming. As you see, it is going off, hitting for quite a bit. It's for 1.2 or so. Let's see, let's get that going again. Doesn't take much to get either one of them to go off. And it is just, it's dealing damage. While it's dealing damage, it's restoring our resources. Oh, boop. There it goes. You'll see our recovery jumps up. It's not a whole lot, but it's something. And it helps us out a lot when it comes to resource management. And then, of course, as the boss gets low, you'll stop. You know, you'll keep these up, your minor force, and then just start executing. That's it. So, the rotation instance isn't that hard. It's really easy. You can get about 2, maybe 3 jabs off as you learn the rotation. And it becomes really easy, really simple. So, and as you work on your speed, things won't fall off like it was doing for me. But all it takes is practice. So, that is the build. I hope y'all have as much fun as I do using it. And until next time, take care.